And God does use people, but it's not limited to people. God can and will show up and bless you when people let you down. I'm gonna tell you something you probably already know, but is worth being reminded of. Although God uses people to reciprocate, reciprocity is not dependent on the faithfulness of people. Ultimately, the law of reciprocity is executed through the faithfulness of God. I'll show you a couple verses. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 17 says, if you help the poor, you're lending to the Lord and he will repay you. So think of this concept. He's saying, if you give as unto the Lord to someone who has no ability to repay you, that person probably won't repay you. The reciprocity won't come from them, but the reciprocity will come. And oftentimes we lose major steam. In fact, our hope withers down, like the flame goes out, because we get so hurt and so frustrated because we're doing the math with people. She owes me this, he owes me that. I gave this, they didn't give that. I asked for this, they asked me for all that, and I gave all that, and then I asked for this, and they didn't. And so we look and we start to lose steam and energy and hope because we think that reciprocity only comes from people. Look, we're gonna do our best to be people of reciprocity, because love one another, okay, it's gotta go in a circle just like the ecosystem. And God does use people, but it's not limited to people. God can and will show up and bless you when people let you down. Some of you have been generous. Hear me now, this is big. This is probably the most important part of the message. Some of you have been generous and you had a heart of generosity, but a lack of reciprocity is starting to make you not generous anymore. Because I'm tired of being generous, nobody reciprocates. The critical mistake you've made is that you think reciprocity only comes through those people who you gave to. Of course we'd love to give and have them give back. I'd love to get it from the person I gave to. I'd like to do that, but it doesn't always happen like that. And even though people sometimes can't or won't reciprocate, that doesn't mean reciprocity isn't on its way. God has an ability to repay even if it's not from the person you gave to. He is omnipotent. So don't dry up your generosity because people are using you. Sometimes you have to put up boundaries because you have people leeching from the environment. And dude, I'm not gonna have you leaving me out here in debt. So sometimes you have to put up boundary that's very appropriate. But putting up a boundary with a person who is a leech should not make you dry up your generosity as a person. Don't let their lack of reciprocity cost you your character, a character quality, a beautiful one of being a generous person. No, man, stay generous and trust the Lord. Trust the Lord, he'll bring it around. Let me tell you a quick story. So we were just last week or a week and a half ago, I was in Houston. I'm in Houston, Texas. I've just dropped the rental car off at the rental car place, and I'm about to go to the airport. I'm on the bus. I get on the bus. I'm with my wife and my friend Eddie. We get on the bus. I step on the bus in Houston, Texas. And the guy goes, Pastor Ford? I'm like, what? I mean, I didn't think anybody knew me in Houston, Texas. I'm in Houston, Texas, a long way from home. Pastor Ford? I'm like, look over at this guy. He's like, my name's Jonathan. I'm from Tampa. Go ahead and bring this up. Bring this picture up. He goes, my name's Jonathan. I'm from Tampa. He said a couple years ago, somehow he said, I ended up being introduced to ONE.CHURCH from Tampa. He's like, I've been going to ONE.CHURCH from Tampa. I've watched all these messages. I get the messages every week. I go back, I've watched old ones. He's like, and so he goes, man, I can't thank you. He goes, in fact, I hoped and I prayed one day our paths would intersect, one, so I could say thank you, and two, so we could pray together. I'm bugging out. I'm here and he's like, what? Like, what's going on? Shocked. I'm like having an out-of-body experience. Like, are you kidding me, man? Tell me about your life. So he starts talking. I'm gonna give you 2 direct quotes. He goes, man, I can't thank you enough, man. You pulled me out of a pit. I said, time out. Jesus pulled you out of a pit. I said, I preached his word. Jesus pulled you out of a pit. Let's just get that straight. But keep going, what else happened? And he said, man, listen, man. He said, you've been pastoring me from afar. And I just, to be honest with you, I just got hit with this wave of hope because I was like, we live in this world, we're condemning everything. Oh, social media is the devil. Oh, the internet's the devil. Everything's bad. Well, yeah, the devil's in all of that. There's evil everywhere, but like the internet's not evil. What are you doing with it? What are we doing with it? And we live in a day right now, I can talk to Jonathan in Tampa. Jonathan has a pastor in Tampa that lives in Columbus, and we met in Houston. Come on, are you kidding? Pinch yourself. What are you talking about? What are we doing? This is incredible. So as I'm talking to him, the only way I can describe it is he had this overwhelming energy to try to express his gratitude. He's listened to hours and hours and hours of messages, and he just keeps telling me how thankful he is. And he's just, and you could tell it's like he wanted me to feel it. And so he just keeps saying how thankful he is. It was his instinct of reciprocity. He felt like he had taken so much, and now he was wanting to give. He's trying to give to me. And when I prayed with him once we got off the bus. But here's what I told him. Here's how God does reciprocity. Jonathan, you're gonna go home, man. You're gonna pour into somebody, and they're not gonna give you anything. You be generous with your life, Jonathan. Be generous with your life. Pour into the people God puts in front of you. Be salt and light where God puts you. Be faithful with the opportunity God puts in front of you. And sometimes you're gonna give more than you get. And you feel like you need encouragement. And the people you're giving to, you hope they would reciprocate and encourage, but sometimes they don't. But don't worry, God is not bound by their faithfulness. God might send some dude from Columbus to give you a word in season. Doesn't even live in your state. Some guy who doesn't want anything from you, Jonathan, I don't want anything from you. Because I've lived it long enough to see the faithfulness of God. I don't sit there and do the math. I'm not gonna keep score. I'm not score keeping in life. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna do my best to reciprocate. I wanna be a good part of the ecosystem. I wanna give and receive love. I wanna be like what Paul says to the Corinthians, when I got some extra, I wanna help somebody else to get their needs met. I'm gonna do, and sometimes I gotta take more than I can give, guys. And sometimes you need to do that too. Be humble enough to receive when you need it. But also, don't be a leech within the ecosystem that's so entitled that all you do is take and can I have another, and take for granted the hard work that people are doing to help provide for you and to do good things for you in your world, in your family, in your business, in your community. Be grateful, be a good member of the ecosystem. But here's what I will not do and what I want to encourage you not to do. Don't dry up your generosity. Don't dampen your energy. Because the ledger is off. Trust God. He said, man, when you give to somebody who can't or won't give you back, don't worry, you lend to the Lord. He said, and he will repay you.